we need to understand that not every case that is investigated ends up in prosecution, because many cases there is lack of sufficient evidence to prosecute successfully the suspects. That is a very big problem that the DPP and other prosecution agencies have to get evidence that is sufficient as required in court beyond reasonable doubt. Many people, I will admit, get away with it for lack of evidence because of the nature of corruption. Corruption is a secret between the two people who have decided, the giver and the taker. And if it is syndicated corruption, which is now the one that takes the bulk of the money, it is also negotiated outside boardrooms, outside minutes, certainly not in the media. It is negotiated under the table, through proxies, offshore, that huge sums of money are shared out because the deal is negotiated even before the procurement is done. So when the Auditor General goes to audit the process, all the boxes will tick because it was advertised, the number of days given, the people responded, they all tick the right boxes. The entire process ticks the right boxes. But corruption is built in the system, in the figures. Even before they advertise, sometimes they even know who is going to take the contract because they have given him information, inside information, or that the company will be looking for, or the MDA will be looking for. They give it to one of their chosen contractor, and by the time you go through the procurement process, it is all smart and clean, but it is built in the corruption. A lot of corruption is syndicated corruption. It begins from Ministry of Finance. We have had confessions, but confessions without evidence is the problem. It begins with Ministry of Finance, where officials of Ministry of Finance have a take, build a take in the budget. It goes to Parliament, takes are built in the budget. It goes to the implementing agencies. All of them were part of the grand negotiations. And by the time it comes to execution, to the contractor, half of the money goes back up the chain. And then the contractor, whether it is for the road or the dam or buying goats or whatever, the contractor is left with half the budget to figure out how to deliver a road on half the budget and make the necessary accountabilities. So we end up with a poor quality road because the contractor got half the budget that should have made the road because half the budget went back up the chain. We have so many confessions of such, but with no evidence. So you get stuck. So we figure that the only way that you can trace this money, because when they get the money, you will not find anybody's signature, you will not find anything that can get the so-called big fish or members of the syndicate. You can only trace the money through the wealth because they acquire assets. They don't throw it in the lake. That is why we are championing the lifestyle audit. And that's why the population will now come in. And sir, from UBC, we are not inciting them to fight these people or to do mob justice. We are only asking them to question people who become wealthy Because wealth doesn't hide. It will come out and show, at least in your stomach, or it will show in your stomach, or the car you drive, or the house you live in, or the schools your children go to, which may not be commensurate with your known salary. And we know government salaries are quite modest. So to answer Delta and to answer UBC and also a bit of others, we are seriously want to promote the lifestyle audit, but it comes with a mindset change of the public. And the lifestyle audit is a partnership between anti-corruption agencies and the public. Because there's no way I know from my office in Jubilee House where somebody from Karamoja built a mansion and another one from Rukonjiri built a hotel and another one from Arua, from Agago bought 2 square miles of land. I can't know. But the public know, because they're the ones who live with these people, who know what is happening. That's why the lifestyle audit is a partnership between the anti-corruption agencies, who have the instruments of authority, and the public, who have information. And information is the most lethal weapon that there is. You bring the information, then we use the authority we have to call these people to order and ask them to explain and to justify and to account for their lifestyle. And then if they cannot, we take them to court, we prosecute them, we confiscate their property, we auction them, we put the money back in the consolidated fund where it belongs. This war is for both government and the public. Uganda has a population, from the last statement from UBOS, of about 46 or 45 million people. Out of those 45 million Ugandans, only about 380,000 Ugandans are employed by government. So these 380,000 people who are employed by government are the ones who are entrusted with all the public resources. 380,000. But out of these 380,000, only about 10% actually have access to the public resources in terms of making decisions. The others are low-ranking officials, drivers, gardeners, tea girls, office messengers, and the lower-ranking officials. But our estimate is that public officers who really have decision-making capacity and are therefore able to have an influence on the disbursement or disbursement or use of government facilities and resources are just about 10% of the entire public service. Now, the question is that it could be only those 38 or 35,000 people that are causing this mayhem in the whole country of 45 million. When they say Ugandans are corrupt or Uganda is corrupt, we are actually talking about 35,000 people who have access to decision making, who are empowered to make the decision. And so we cannot accept, or let me pose the question, because our rally is to invite all Ugandans to get involved in the war against corruption. And the question I would like to ask the Ugandans who are warming up: can 35,000 people defeat 45 million people if the 45 million people decided to get together to fight corruption? It cannot. It is not acceptable that 45 million Ugandans can suffer because of 35 unscrupulous government officials who have access to public resources and divert them from public services. Ugandan who is listening to me, if there is no medicine in the hospitals, it is not because government has no money to buy medicine. It is because the office bearers who are given this money to buy medicine divert it. If we are moving on bad roads, poorly constructed roads, it is not because government has no money to construct roads. It is because the office bearers given the money to construct roads help themselves to most of the money, leaving the small amount of money to the contractor to figure out how to deliver a road with half the budget that is given to them.